How many times can you recall going to a restaurant very, very hungry and not realizing you overordered until you became full? Many of you guys may think that throwing away that food is not that bad of an idea, especially with just a little bit of food. But as more and more people begin to throw away their food, it begins to pile up and become a huge amount of food wasted. I too am guilty of wasting my food, and instead of bringing them home, at first I thought that food waste was just going to be eaten by rats and decompose. But after I found out that food waste contributes to climate change, I began to question my practices. I began to wonder how significant food waste was in affecting the climate, because like most of you guys, I am I am worried about the climate change crisis. And I came to learn that food waste was making an already huge impact on the already worsening problem of climate change. According to a graphic by Andy Murdoch, published by the University of California on May 9th, 2017, if food waste was a country, it would be one of the top 5 countries that emit the most greenhouse gases, coming in third behind China and the USA. Food waste is already having an obviously huge impact on the environment, and today I'll be explaining how food waste negatively impacts the environment, how you should help by meal planning, freezing food, giving to the homeless, and composting. In this presentation, I'll explain the significance of food waste in the worsening climate, the resources going to waste in producing the food, and how you can stop food waste. In order to understand how food waste worsens the climate, first we must go over the science of food waste and what it produces. Food waste rotting in landfills leads to increased methane carbon emissions, which leads to further climate change. Now, many of you guys must be wondering, what is methane? Well, methane is a greenhouse gas that is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide, and is produced primarily by agriculture and waste. When greenhouse gases such as methane are released, they get trapped in the atmosphere, and greenhouse gases absorb the heat and radiation from the sun, causing weather on Earth to heat up as time passes. This is why greenhouse gases such as methane produced from food is very bad, as it causes major instability in the Earth's temperature. In a statistic from the World Wildlife Organization, about one-third of the food produced globally is wasted each year. This is about 1.3 billion tons of food. With about 1.3 billion tons of food, imagine how much methane is produced. With all the methane emissions from the food waste, climate change is already becoming worse. But what's even worse is that methane isn't the only thing that's being produced from food waste. There's also other resources expended going to waste. When we waste food, we also waste all the other resources going to producing it. Growing food takes a lot of water, and according to an article written by Jangria Lewis from earth.org, How Does Food Waste Affect the Environment?, published in October 17, 2022, agriculture uses 70% of water used throughout the world. After the growing process, growers must also transport the processing factories and food from the factories and grocery markets. Large amounts of fossil fuels are being used during that process, transporting the food from one place to another. According to a newsletter article by the University of Texas Austin published in November 11, 2010, if we quit wasting food, the U.S. could save about 2% of its total energy consumption in 1 year. Which is equivalent to 350 million barrels of oil. All this energy could have been used to do something productive, but we all decided to waste it by wasting food. In a web post by the Conscious Club, Food and Energy, published in May 22nd, 2019, the food industry consumes 30% of the world's available energy and produces over 20% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. Now that you know about the negative effects of food waste, how can you help? Well, this very simple answer to the question is just stop wasting your food. But some of you guys may find it hard to do. So luckily, I have some tips to help you. 1. Meal plan. Planning out your meals ahead and specific proportions that you're going to eat throughout the week helps preventing overbuying food. 2. Freezing your foods. Freezing your foods if you don't know you will be finishing them past the expiration date helps with the longevity of the foods. You could freeze specifically meats, poultry, and seafood. 3. Composting scraps. Composting food items such as waste scraps from fruit and vegetables can help decrease the amount of food waste in landfills. 4. Giving unwanted food items to the homeless. If you have any unwanted perfectly good food items in your pantry, why not give it to the homeless who need it? That way, when you buy something you don't like, instead of throwing it away, give it to those who need it. With all these helpful solutions, Hopefully, it can reduce your food wasted. In summary, I've talked about the significance of food waste and climate change, how food waste leads to wasted resources, and how you can help stop food waste. I have explained to you how food waste negatively impacts the environment and how you can plan your meals, freeze foods, and give unwanted food items, and compost your scraps in order to help the world's crisis of food waste. 1/3 of all food wasted every year globally, and with all of this waste comes the global heating of our planet. Eventually, we will come to a day where Earth is too hot to live on, so we must take action before that day comes. Even with the simplest steps like not wasting your food, you could help greatly with the crisis of climate change. I hope by the end of this video, you will stop wasting your food, and I'd like to thank you for listening.